Today, we've got to talk about Claressa Shields, and honestly, this might be the most chaotic chapter of her life we've seen yet, you guys. I mean, seriously, I had to sit down, hit record, and really process all of this before even speaking on it. But my first reaction to this entire meltdown, this entire public crash out, is simple. Claressa needs real help. And I'm not talking a little guidance, I'm talking serious, immediate help, you guys, because there is absolutely no way you keep moving like this while casually throwing God's name into the middle of your mess. And then, on top of that, the laughing, the smirking, the energy during that live, you won't believe it. One minute she's flashing gold medals like endorsements are still rolling in, trying to remind everybody who she is, and the next minute she's backpedaling, like, well, it doesn't even matter, you know what I'm saying? Suddenly those endorsements are old news, in the past, not important anymore. And that right there, that's wild. And once again, Claressa is pulling out all the greatest hits, mixing facts, twisting narratives, and acting confused about why the internet is coming for her in the first place. But let's be honest, Claressa knows exactly why people are dragging her up, down, and across every platform. And what makes this even crazier is watching her bring sermons, ministers, scripture, and church language into the conversation as if that somehow excuses the behavior. Listen, yes, everybody sins, everybody falls short, but the audacity here is on another level. Greed on full display, money flashing, designer labels everywhere, and all of it happening while publicly entertaining a married man. Yes, a married man who still hasn't divorced his wife. So how do you boldly claim you're praying, reading scripture, opening a Bible, maybe even stepping into church while publicly celebrating an entanglement like this? Because last time I checked, the church doesn't celebrate that. And if you've ever watched scandal hit a church, especially one involving cheating, you know leaders get asked to step down because it directly clashes with what they preach. So it blows my mind that Claressa seems convinced she was somehow blessed with another woman's husband, like this chaos is a testimony instead of a warning. You're saying this man, surrounded by scandal, rumors, drama, and who knows what else, is somehow your blessing? And on top of that, people are saying you might not even be the only woman involved. Make it sense. Seriously, make it sense. And while all of this is happening, she's listing cars, luxury items, material trophies, designer brands, one after another. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is literally everything faith warns people not to worship. My goodness, I wish I could play that sermon from church this week because it lined up with this story almost perfectly. It felt like Claressa was becoming the exact example of what not to do. Because yes, people may want Gucci, yes, people may want Louis Vuitton, but greed, obsession, turning labels into your identity, that's a whole different conversation. You're not supposed to use material things as your proof of worth, your proof of success, or your proof of happiness. And honestly, I think Claressa has completely lost the plot. Completely. And where is Papoose in all of this? Because right now it's giving he's nowhere upstairs, downstairs, or even in the basement. Because every single time these unhinged lives happen, these emotional rants, these chaotic broadcasts, it always feels like he's nowhere around. And the hard truth is this: Claressa Shields can't control the narrative anymore. She can't. And no matter how many lives she does, how many speeches she gives, or how many receipts she flashes, she cannot control what people are saying now. And now what we're watching is Claressa running to pastors, spiritual advisors, and religious voices who are willing to tell her exactly what she wants to hear. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, she's a celebrity. A celebrity. And you know what that means? Doors open differently, conversations sound different, and people suddenly get real comfortable telling stars what keeps them happy instead of what keeps them accountable. This honestly reminds me of Jamal Bryant and the way celebrity culture can sometimes blend with the pulpit. You know what I'm saying? The famous faces show up, the cameras follow, the buzz grows, the platform gets bigger, and suddenly everybody wins from the attention. More clout, more headlines, more eyeballs, more engagement. But any grounded Christian, pastor or not, would look at Claressa Shields and keep it completely real.
This behavior is not it. Any honest spiritual leader would tell her straight up that running around with a married man for years while expecting some magical ending is not wisdom, it's chaos. And here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Papoose sees exactly how comfortable you've become in this situation. He sees you accepting the delays. He sees you accepting the excuses. He sees you staying while he's still legally tied to Remy Ma. So tell me this. Where's the incentive for him to actually move forward with a divorce when everything around him says you're already comfortable with your position? Because if we're calling it honestly, the signs over these past few years haven't exactly screamed queen energy. They've screamed comfort. They've screamed compromise. And if you really believe you're operating like royalty, then let me ask you something. Do you see Beyoncé moving like this online? Do you see Rihanna crashing out on live every time the internet starts talking? Right now, Rihanna's trending because of A$AP Rocky, the rumors, the Met Gala clips, the conversations, all of it. And yet what did she do? Nothing reckless, nothing emotional, nothing messy. She posted her look, shared her moments, smiled through the noise, and kept moving like a queen. And let me tell you something, that's billionaire behavior. That's how real queens move. Quiet confidence, controlled energy, not public meltdowns while standing beside a married man, not endless lives, not emotional spirals. And yes, I saw you still trying to push Miss Hustle, still throwing subliminals, still trying to force narratives that clearly aren't landing. But this live, this wasn't promotion, this wasn't branding, this was a full-scale crash out, one for the history books. And Claressa seriously needs to stop. She needs to stop. Because underneath all the confidence, all the designer labels, all the tough talk, what people are starting to see looks a lot more like jealousy, insecurity, and a constant need for internet validation. And here's the part nobody can ignore. God doesn't bless confusion, and He definitely doesn't package another woman's husband as your breakthrough.
And while we're asking hard questions, do you really think God forgot how you handled Franchon Cruz Dezern during that last fight, that weigh-in chaos and everything that followed? So let me ask the question nobody around Claressa Shields seems willing to ask. Did you really think God was signing off on any of this? Do you honestly believe all the cussing, all the outbursts, all the late-night crash-outs, all the podcast runs where you kept throwing shade and subliminals toward Remy Ma somehow lined up with faith? Do you think God approved when accusations were being thrown around, when names were being called, when reputations were being dragged through the mud? Do you think threatening people, challenging people, promising violence, and turning every disagreement into a public war is the kind of energy heaven rewards? Do you think God is smiling while you publicly joke about bedroom talk, intimate details, and alleged premarital situations involving a married man? You know what I'm saying? Really think about that. Do you think God approves of tattooing a man who still, to this very day, refuses to legally separate himself from his wife, while everybody around you can clearly see what's happening? Do you think God missed all the public call-outs, all the smoke thrown toward other fighters like Alicia Baumgardner, Shadeja Green, Layla Ali, and Franchon Cruz Dezern? Do you think stepping into other people's drama, whether it involved 50 Cent, Papoose, or anybody else, was somehow a blessing in disguise? And here's the bigger question. If God is blessing all of this, then where are the results? Because right now it feels like the promotions have to keep reminding people you exist, keep putting you front and center, keep pushing your name just to keep the conversation alive. Yet where are the officially announced fights? And let's talk about the music for a second, because you made it sound like there was this huge next chapter coming. Records, demand, opportunities, crossover success, all of it. But if we're keeping it real, the music didn't land, the noise didn't translate, the momentum didn't follow. And now people are asking the hard questions. Where are the brand deals? Where's Adidas? Where's Nike? Where's Degree, Powerade, Icy Hot? All the major opportunities that should be lining up if everything is really moving the way you say it is. And when those opportunities don't show up, suddenly it's the haters. Suddenly it's the devil. Suddenly it's everybody else trying to tear you down. But let's be honest,
Nobody is taking Claressa down faster than Claressa right now. And I can't even begin to unpack the family drama, the online arguments, the personal business being aired out, because that's a whole separate documentary by itself. But one thing is clear, none of this screams peace, discipline, growth, or spiritual alignment. It screams chaos, it screams insecurity, it screams somebody trying to turn messy behavior into a testimony. And you won't believe this, people are starting to see right through it. And what really blew my mind wasn't even the live itself. It was the audacity to package all of this like some spiritual awakening, like some mistress sermon, like some meeting of the minds where side chick behavior suddenly becomes empowerment. No, absolutely not. As far as I'm concerned, that's not growth, that's performance. And trust me, we're going to need a full deep dive on that 42-minute live, because the chaos, the contradictions, the lies, the energy, it was almost impossible to sit through. Because here's the truth. If real motion was happening, if the blessings were flowing, if the opportunities were truly stacked, these emotional lives wouldn't keep happening. The subliminals wouldn't keep flying. The public cursing wouldn't keep repeating. And I'm saying it again, Claressa Shields needs serious help. Serious help. Because the stories aren't landing anymore, the excuses aren't working anymore, and more people than ever are starting to see exactly what's going on. And let's clear something up right now. This is not bullying.
This is not attacking. Nobody's calling her out of her name. These are people with strong opinions reacting to very public behavior, and that is a huge difference. But the real problem? Claressa doesn't seem to handle truth very well. Because the moment people stop clapping, stop hyping, stop validating, that's when the crash outs start. That's when the blocking starts. That's when the spirals begin. And for somebody who says she's not chronically online, let's just say the internet seems to know otherwise. So here's what I genuinely don't understand about Claressa Shields. How do you keep saying you don't see everything online, but somehow you're always fully updated on exactly what everybody is saying about you? Make that make sense. If the Toya girl is supposedly irrelevant, supposedly a non-factor, supposedly beneath your attention, then why are you responding to every little thing connected to her? If Shadesha Green is allegedly not connected to Papoose in the way people are talking, then why does it feel like both you and Papoose jump into defense mode the second her name enters the conversation? But at the same time, all that smoke, all that energy, all that bitterness somehow always circles right back to Remy Ma. And I think we all know why. Because Papoose still hasn't let that marriage go. Because no matter what's happening publicly, legally, emotionally, or privately, he still refuses to fully close that chapter. And whether Remy wants him back or not, that's not even the point anymore. The point is, he clearly doesn't want to fully let her go. And here's the hard truth, Claressa. This system, this arrangement, this emotional triangle, you helped build it. This is the setup you accepted. This is the lane you chose. And somewhere along the way, it started looking like you believed you could recreate the exact life that Remy already built, just with yourself standing in her place. But you won't believe this. History usually doesn't reward that kind of strategy, because I honestly cannot name a single mistress, a single side relationship, a single knowingly complicated situation involving a married man that ended with fairy tales and peace. And even when somebody wins the man, what usually happens next? More cheating, more insecurity, more looking over your shoulder, more emotional spirals, more public embarrassment. Sound familiar? That's why I'm still blown away, but honestly not shocked anymore, that there are people online who keep validating Claressa's behavior and blaming everything on haters, jealous people, or the devil, while completely ignoring the fact that a lot of this chaos looks self-inflicted. Seriously, make it make sense. Anyway, this video is already getting longer than I planned, but I had to jump on here and give my raw reaction because Claressa is completely out of order right now. Completely.
And what's unfortunate is there will always be people who clap, cheer, enable, and co-sign this kind of unhinged behavior instead of telling somebody the truth or encouraging real accountability. Because at this point, what we're watching doesn't look like growth, it looks like emotional burnout. It looks like clout chasing. It looks like attention addiction. And when Claressa and Papoose get together, I'm sorry, but it feels like they bring out the absolute worst in each other. The worst. And what makes this chapter even more unbelievable is watching God's name get pulled into the middle of it all, while behavior that clearly contradicts everything being preached is somehow being packaged as empowerment. And as far as I'm concerned, that's not inspiration, that's chaos on full display.